Hello and welcome to News Across Nigeria. I am Olumide Macaulay. On today's program, teachers in primary and junior secondary schools in Kwara State resort to prayer, demand payment of 6 months' salary arrears as state governor insists on weeding out ghost workers. Leaders of oil-rich Niger Delta region meet Ondo State Governor Adams Oshomole, want him to present people's concerns to the presidency. And Federal Road Safety Corps moves to curb accidents, demands international best practices from contractors handling Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. Thank you for joining us. We begin with a political story that occurs in the north-central part of the country. The Federal Capital Territory High Court has today removed Senator Ali Modu Sharif from being chairman of the People's Democratic Party. The court, presided over by Justice Valentine Ashi, nullified the 2014 PDP Constitution amendment upon which Senator Sharif is said to have been appointed as PDP chairman. The court describes the amendment of the party's constitution as illegal and a violation of the Electoral Act, and therefore declared all actions carried out with that document, including anybody parading himself or herself as officer of the party, as illegal. The leadership of the party has been faced with a series of court orders after the controversial Port Harcourt National Convention, which birthed the McAfee-led caretaker committee. Senator Modu Sharif has challenged the legality of constituting a caretaker committee, insisting he is the rightful leader of the party. So education and teachers of primary and junior secondary schools in Kwara State have organized a joint prayer session for divine intervention concerning the payment of their 6-month salary arrears. The teachers converged at the NUT Secretariat in Ilorin, the state capital, for the exercise. Meanwhile, the state government says that arrangements have been concluded to settle the matter by the end of June.
The life of teachers of Kwara State are becoming lives are becoming unbearable for them. They live in a very critical condition because of the delay in the payment of their salaries. And we believe in the efficacy of prayer. We believe that God's intervention can solve the problem. That is why we are seeking the face of God to help us assist the government to carry out their obligations. It is not a fight that we can do alone. So we want God to assist us, and that is why we organize the prayer, so that the state government will have the capacity and wherewithal to do what is just and to do what is right for the teachers of Kwara State.
Council endorsed the decision of the Joint Accounts Allocation Committee to reprioritize the payments to SUBEB and basic education teachers. As you are aware, the last JAC decided to allocate 60%, prioritize JAC and allocate 60% of that allocation to local SUBEB and basic education teachers, and 40% to the remaining to the local government councils. This decision was actually backed by law. It was what was in place before until this crisis started, and they all agreed that they will prorate the money based on whatever is available. But in view of what's happening now, in view of the fact that teachers are at the core of the foundation of our tomorrow, they teach our children, and these children will be the leaders of our tomorrow, and it's the foundation that you give these children now that will determine how they will turn out tomorrow.
Meanwhile, the Kwara State Governor, Abdul Fattah Ahmed, has vowed to deal with any civil servants found working with fake results or certificates. He also decided to prosecute anyone involved in collecting salaries illegally, as the practice has been partially responsible for the delay in the payment of salaries to legitimate and hard-working personnel.
That process is not compromising. If you are talking about sanction now, if you think you have crossed the first level, and you get caught in the second level, you'll be sanctioned. When one is sanctioned, it is very clear. The first one is you refund money. You have collected legally. The second one is you'll be prosecuted. That much will be carried out. So let people know this. If anybody, under any guise, is perpetrating this, there will be no hiding place. We have passed that levels when things like this will happen, and you come and beg, or if you want those levels are passed. It is impacting directly on the lives of people. People are not able to get their salaries as at when due. Families are suffering. So we will not allow people to amuse themselves with ways that is not complementary with the system by inflating the wage bill.
Kwara State Governor Mr. Abdul Fattah Ahmed, staying with related issues, labor. Talks between the Ondo state government and union leaders in the state have ended in a deadlock as both parties failed to come to terms on ending the one-month industrial action embarked on by the workers. The meeting, which lasted several hours behind closed doors, was held at the Cocoa Conference Hall of the Governor's House in Akure, the state capital. The government team, led by the State Head of Civil Service, Toyin Akiotu, and the State Commissioner for Finance, is proposing paying 1 month out of the 6 months owed the workers.
We are working out some details and modalities, but of course we cannot make full disclosure at this time. But definitely we are working on modalities that will ensure that our workers are not paid by this 1 month payment that we intend to make.
We have not called off the strike, and we met with the government side today, and it was led by the head of service. And in the team we have the Attorney General of the state and the Commissioner of Finance. And as we are speaking, the negotiation has not broken. It has not broken down, so we are still negotiating. So we are adjourned till Thursday 10 a.m. And by 10 a.m. on Thursday, negotiation resumes.
Away from the southwest, let's take a look at what's happening in the south-south part of the country. Some leaders of communities in the Niger Delta region are asking the governor of Edo State to represent their interests before the presidency. Mr. Adams Oshomole was asked to play this role by monarchs and key stakeholders on behalf of people of the region. The governor, on his part, appealed to leaders and freedom fighters in the Niger Delta to prioritize restoring the environment ahead of calls for monetary compensation.
Militancy in the Niger Delta has raised international concerns in recent times, and the need to find a lasting solution to the cycle of vandalism and economic sabotage unleashed by militant groups in the region prompted this courtesy call to Government House in Benin City, the Edo State capital, by representatives of oil and gas producing communities. The chairman of the association says one of the major issues in the Niger Delta is the non-release of funds on gas flaring to the people, which is now in excess of 2 trillion naira in arrears.
International oil company, 6 major company, Shell, Chevron, Total, Mobil, the 6 companies, they obey the law by paying 1,000 standard cubic gas flared penalty levy to DPR. DPR is the central bank, and this money around to over 2 trillion naira. And the federal government and central bank said, obviously, we receive this money. This money is paid as a result of acidic rain, corrosion.
Governor Oshomole, on his part, said addressing the environmental challenges in the region should be of paramount concern instead of laying emphasis on compensation.
The campaign should be stop the pollution, not pay for the pollution, because money is useless to a man that is dead. What is appropriated in the name of the South-South tends to end up not on the laps of the people of the South-South, but in the deepening pocket of a very, very few. And if this tradition continues, we will continue to have the paradox of a rich sub-region, pauperized, dehumanized, and frustrated by all of the things that I talked to earlier.
He said there has to be a change of strategy in tackling the deprivations in the Niger Delta.
I feel we need to appeal to them to give the federal government enough time to address the obvious deprivations of people in the region, but also to re-examine the conventional tools that have been used in the past that have not delivered development to the region.
The association hopes to convene a workshop in Benin City that we have in attendance over 700 freedom fighters from Niger Delta later in July. I would want President Muhammadu Buhari to declare it open.
And since there can be no consistent development without security, the Nigerian Navy emphasizes its dedication to securing the Niger Delta region. That's next on News Across Nigeria.